Let's start with some big news on the Japanese wrestling front. First, with New Japan. The news broke on Friday night that the ace of New Japan, former 8-time IWGP World Champion, and 1/3 of the reigning never openweight 6-man tag team champions, Hiroshi Tanahashi, has been named the new president and representative director of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Wow, where'd that come from? That came out of nowhere. His appointment came following a meeting of New Japan's board of directors and shareholders. Takami Obari, who has been president and representative director since 2020, has officially stepped down from his role, and Mishiaki Nishizawa, another director, has also stepped down. Hitoshi Matsumoto, the chief of business production for TV Asahi, and Taro Okada, president and CEO of Bushiroad Fight, have been named directors of the company. Okada will be a director only on a part-time basis. A press conference regarding the new changes will take place this Tuesday, December 26th at 1 p.m. Japan Standard Time. That would be 11 p.m. Eastern, Monday night, I believe. And Tanahashi is going to talk about his new role within the company, also at Wrestle Kingdom on January 4th. Now, Obari posted on social media on Saturday following his resignation. This is what he had to say. For our international fans, today I resign from the roles as president of New Japan and New Japan of America. And as you know, our ace, Tanahashi-san, just took over my roles. As he has fans, wrestlers, and management perspectives, there is no doubt that he will create the best New Japan ever. I spent 5 years with New Japan, and as its president, 3 years and 2 months. My management started from the depths of the COVID-19 pandemic when cheering, the number of attendance, and many other key factors for both fans and wrestlers' motivation were strictly restricted by the government. People out of Japan might not be able to imagine how despairing environment it was. As our traditional business model collapsed quickly, I focused on prevention of COVID-19 and cost reductions first. To adapt to this changing external environment, I put all my efforts to modify the old system to create new businesses and to accelerate the globalization. Honestly, most of the time, I had felt pains of birth. However, when I went to the venues in Japan and overseas, I always received huge encouragement from our fans like you and wrestlers, which motivated me to do my best again. Through this cycle, which might be called strong style, we managed to recover our business to the level that almost hit record highs. All the new president, Tanahashi-san, to do is to easily surpass the record and make a much brighter future for New Japan. I know everything is prepared. Although I left New Japan and will leave Bushiroad quite soon, I would like to once again thank everybody at the press conference on December 26th. See you then. I would love to know what precipitated this. I know New Japan has struggled this year, even though fans were allowed to cheer again and the COVID restrictions were finally lifted. Fans have not fully returned in the way that they had hoped. And the product just isn't as hot. It's not as hot as it used to be just a few years ago. COVID had a lot to do with that, but they also just haven't done a great job of creating new stars to take the place of the aging ones. Tanahashi being one of those aging stars. Now they have, again, young stars that they're cultivating now. They have a handful of them, but they didn't start soon enough. And so they're not nearly at the level of the top stars. It's going to take time. So it's going to be very interesting to see how he tries to turn things around. There was no mention of Gedo or any change in the booking, but Tanahashi, look, this guy is the heart and soul of New Japan. He and Okada both, those are the faces of New Japan Pro Wrestling. And if there was any doubt about Okada's future, I don't think there should be now. I don't see him going anywhere. With all this talk of him becoming a free agent at the end of next month. And who knows, he may explore free agency, but I don't see him going anywhere. I like the idea of Tanahashi as president. That doesn't mean that he's done wrestling. Like I said, he's 1/3 of the never openweight 6-man tag team champions right now. It's him, Okada, and Ishii. And he's going to be wrestling Zack Sabre Jr. for the New Japan Television title at the Tokyo Dome. Generally, I think it's wise to keep talent separate from management if they're still active in the ring. I've said that about the Elite in their EVP roles in AEW. Because otherwise, egos get involved And even if egos don't get involved, it's just a perception thing, right? It could cause problems. With Tanahashi, though, this is the man who saved New Japan. He brought that company out of the dark ages after what Antonio Inoki did to it in the 2000s. He carried that company on his back. He brought prestige back to that IWGP belt. And so it's kind of poetic that they, once again, turned to Tanahashi to help turn things around. He's also been a great representative for that company for so long and is so well respected. You know, when Shibata left, and Nakamura left, and Ibushi left, he never did. And I would like to hear what ideas he has for New Japan going forward. Obari's expansion into the US market did not go the way that he wanted it to. He talked about that in his statement. He said, you know, globalization, it really made a big push to drive New Japan higher here in the States. And there's no way that it went as well as they had hoped it would have. Tanahashi was someone who pushed very hard for the partnership with AEW. And I'm sure that's going to continue. I think that's been a good thing. Certainly for the fans, it's been a good thing. It's hard to say how smart of a move this is until we get more clarity on why it happened and what his plans are. But it's a massive shakeup for a company that could use one right now. You know, Wrestle Kingdom is less than 2 weeks away, and I don't hear anyone talking about it. Which is strange for a show that always ends up being one of the best shows all year. Very little chatter compared to normally what you would find this time of year about Wrestle Kingdom. Bryan Danielson is working the Tokyo Dome for the first time since, I believe, 2004. He's having a rematch against Okada. Sonata is defending the IWGP World Heavyweight title against Tetsuya Naito. Will Ospreay, Jon Moxley, David Finlay, they're going to have a three-way to crown the inaugural IWGP Global Champion. And Tanahashi against Sabre. Those are the key matches on that show. And from New Japan, we turn to All Japan Pro Wrestling. This one also came out of nowhere. In a social media video posted by All Japan's official account on Saturday, it was announced that the mystery challenger All Japan has been hyping for its Triple Crown title match on January 3rd at Korakuen Hall will be a wrestler from NXT. Although that person's identity was not revealed. And the video features the president of All Japan, Tsuyoki Fukuda. He's speaking on the phone with someone allegedly from WWE. He gets a phone call. And Fukuda says that All Japan wants a strong wrestler from NXT to challenge for the Triple Crown. He says, "You have good superstar for us? What? Submission assassin? Killer catch style? Great. Thank you. My pleasure. Appreciate your support. Please say thanks to your boss in WWE." I think what I found just as jarring as just the news that All Japan would possibly be talking to WWE is that if you watch the video, he's using a flip phone. Are those still big in Japan? Maybe it's a cultural thing. Maybe they're still big over there. I haven't seen someone using a flip phone since this 80-year-old guy online in front of me at CBS a few weeks ago. But look, people are going crazy. They're fantasy booking all kinds of matches and scenarios. They're thinking there's some kind of collaboration between the two companies. Other people are having a meltdown because they think this is the beginning of the beginning of the end here, right? This is the beginning of the WWE takeover of Japan, and they think this is a terrible thing. WWE hasn't said a word about this. They haven't posted anything on social media about this. I don't think they would say anything anyway. I don't think they announced... Did they announce they were letting Nakamura wrestle the Great Muta on the Noah New Year's show this year? I don't think they said anything about that either. But the idea of WWE suddenly collaborating for anything more than maybe a one-off with a Japanese promotion, it's laughable. Just think about this, okay? Now of all times, WWE's business has not been this hot in decades. They're putting almost 16,000 people in Madison Square Garden on Tuesday for a house show, okay? And that's just one night. Their business is booming. They have absolutely no need to work with any other promotion. Now more than ever, they have no need to play nice with others. And now is the time they suddenly start working with other promotions? I mean, come on. Doesn't make sense. Like, when business is down, if you want to shake things up a little bit, you're like, all right, you know what? Maybe we can do something fun here. Maybe there's something mutually beneficial. And we'll work with this company. We'll work with that company. And that's rarely been WWE's philosophy over the years. But in a situation like that, it's like, all right, maybe we could do something here. Maybe we could work something out. They have no need to do anything with anyone. I mean, everything they touch right now turns to gold. What do you think? They're going to do this out of the goodness of their heart? And now a one-off I could see. I'd like to know what's in it for them. Because like I said, they're not doing this unless they can get something out of it. When they let Nakamura work the Noah show earlier this year, I said, what did I say? When that announcement was first made, I said, I'll bet that means that Muta is going into the Hall of Fame this year. And that's exactly what happened. It would not be the first time that WWE has collaborated with All Japan in some way. Vince McMahon worked with All Japan and New Japan on a joint show at the Tokyo Dome back in 1990. That was the show that had the disappointing match between Bret Hart and Misawa back when he was Tiger Mask. As far as submission assassin and killer catch style, he mentioned that in the phone call. That probably means someone's from Drew Gulak's faction in NXT. They just got their new name a few weeks ago. The No Quarter Catch Crew, which is a mouthful. It's Gulak, Charlie Dempsey, who's Regal's kid, Damon Kemp, and Miles Bourne. It's probably one of them. I hope this is a real thing. Not that I want to see a WWE invasion of Japan, because that would be very bad for the Japanese promotions. But WWE having working relationships with some of them, and let's say sending NXT talents to Japan for like 3 months at a time or 6 months at a time. Like imagine Braun Breaker, who's not doing anything right now in NXT. Imagine sending Braun Breaker to Japan to work with those guys for a few months and then bringing him back and sending him straight to the main roster. Or sending Tiffany Stratton to work Stardom for 3 months to up her game. They would take one look at her and think Mariah May was back. I would love it if they did stuff like that, because I think it would elevate all of their games to go to Japan for a few months. Like if I was a wrestler, I would love to go to Japan. I want to go to Japan anyway, but if I was a wrestler, I feel like I would love to work in Japan. But that's not how WWE operates. They have their own performance center. If you came from somewhere else, they break you down. They build you back up in their own image, the way they think you should be trained. I can't see them giving anybody else credit for how they train their talent, or if they go somewhere else, if they think they pick up any bad habits. So I know it's not realistic, but I still wish they would at least be open to it.